Do you want to quit weed to become a better father, yet your mind is racing and you can't sleep sober? Everything in life has a purpose. When your mind is racing and you can't sleep, that's often seen as a negative experience. And as a father, I'm sure you need enough sleep to function. Oftentimes, when the mind is racing, it's over some conflict in our lives. It's a conflict active state of being. And waking up early is one way our bodies give us some extra time to deal with solving those conflicts. Yet few people are able to successfully pinpoint the source of that conflict, and it just continues to happen. Because let's face it, if you could just simply stop whatever that was or address it in your life consciously, then you wouldn't have these reoccurring 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. early mornings with a racing mind and you can't sleep. When that happens, it's understandable why one might feel like they need to return to weed to function so that they can sleep. So let's get to that root cause so you can sleep again on your own. Because let's face it, when you address what's going on the subconscious level, when you get to the root of the issue, the need to be up and to be consistently stimulated in the mind is no longer there. And oftentimes what you'll find is that you sleep even better than you've slept in a long time, because this conflict most likely isn't just one particular issue. So in a session that I've had with clients in the past, usually it's, I struggle to remain sober and I relapse. That's kind of how they start off the session. But as we get down into the deeper layers of these things, and I investigate different aspects of what they bring up, from their verbiage to also the submodalities and the micro expressions in their body language, we start to really get a finer picture to what's really going on. And if anything, it's multifaceted. It could be something that happened that year. It could be something that happened 5, 10, 15 years ago. And there could still be stuff in between that. Sometimes there's 8 individual circumstances that have gone on in their life that are causing them to have this issue, which is just hidden underneath the general statement of, well, I want to quit marijuana so I could be a better father. I just return to it because I can't sleep and my mind's always racing. I think oftentimes in life, what people forget is that, they seem to have a issue with what's going on with themselves on an emotional level. Oh, I'm depressed. It's this horrible thing. I don't understand why I can't just get over this depression. Well, when you really start asking some quality questions, it's often the fact that that individual has some pretty depressing things that are going on in their life. And so depression is actually kind of expected. If your wife divorced you and your dog just died and both your parents passed away in a tragic car accident, I would be pretty depressed myself. So it's kind of not a bad thing when you have different states of emotion, whether it's anger, depression, anxiety, or again, a beehive mind where you just can't seem to shut off. You're always thinking and stimulated on some level. These are usually viewed as negative experiences. Well, I could tell you that those things are very normal and natural, and if anything, they should be expected. But what's not expected from society, or I guess most people nowadays, is actually addressing those issues in the moment. Because let's face it, we have things to do. We live in a lot more of a fast-paced environment. And so oftentimes we push things aside for the benefit of the household or the benefit of our partner or our children. And so we tend to not address things as they come up, and they kind of stack over time. And this is actually how you end up in a position, because you've pushed things away for so long, to where you don't really know what the problem is. Sure, you may have a general idea that you're struggling with marijuana to stay sober, but the reason that you continue to go back to it is actually very reasonable. So, whatever's going on in your life, as it stacks up and you don't deal with it, eventually kind of just shifts on into the back. It goes to the subconscious part of the mind, and your survival mechanism kind of kicks in to start dealing with it, because we all know that stress affects our physicality, it affects our minds, it even affects our digestion. And so if you're struggling in your life and you're struggling physically, your subconscious mind is going to start to inconvenience you into addressing what's going on in your life. Your job might become more and more stressful. You might be finding yourself getting more and more agitated as you continue to go to your job. And when you don't deal with issues, they often stack. And seemingly good people sometimes can even kind of turn into a bit of an asshole, or somebody that is less tolerable to be around. And this is oftentimes where you see people that got together and had a relationship, it starts to eventually divide them to where they stop communicating. They stop dealing with those conflicts within the relationships. And as these things stack, each person kind of changes to some degree, and they don't necessarily match who you met in the beginning. Now, I'm not here to tell you that you should be out there trying to fix people, but I am here telling you that you should try to fix yourself. Because oftentimes, who we attract in our life, or the things that we attract in our life, are often a reflection of who we are on the inside. And so as you tend to address those inner things, those inner conflicts that are going on in your life, you end up elevating your life in a very organic and easy way. All of a sudden, getting a new job doesn't seem like a big daunting task, and you may have the confidence to actually go level up and put your neck out there in a sense and risk being rejected for this new job that you don't think you're even qualified for. And even in that aspect, now you've become a better financial individual that has more resources available to them to, again, be a better father. Maybe you get even more free time on top of that. So really, what's the cost of doing nothing when it comes to all of these situations? Is that what you have right now, issues that you're struggling with right now, you can smoke marijuana. That's not necessarily the issue as much as the issue is that there's all these things that are causing you to have to smoke to function. So if you keep stacking up all these individual problems and pushing aside all of those traumatic incidences or even seemingly mundane incidences, eventually it's going to shift you into a less desirable version of yourself. And as you become a less desirable version of yourself, it's very natural to want to dissociate. It's very natural to not want to come home and be angry about work, so you smoke. So if you don't address this root cause or these issues on the subconscious level, you're going to end up going through your life and keep stacking these issues, and you're going to find that more and more things go wrong in your life. Sure, you may make $100,000, and on some level that seems like an accomplishment, but you might actually hate your job. You might really not want to be there, but your brain is like, well, I make good money. And oftentimes what happens in sessions is that when we address all these little instances that were in the background, their whole life does a 180. They actually change a lot of different things in their life over that year. And it's because they aren't stuck in this limited mindset anymore. They're not stuck in this traumatic box that they've created for themselves to survive. So if you actually want to get out of that brain hive mind, be able to show up better as a father, and not be struggling with this insomnia, reach out to me via Calendly link, and I'll get back to you.